Hello, YouTube. As you might hear in the background, that's the Canadian National Anthem. And since today's episode was all about the Canada-US game, you can guess what that means. Okay, Canada-US. Well, first of all, as you might have well guessed, this is not a game that disappointed anybody. It was a hard-fought game, lots of emotion, some great hockey from start to finish. Quite honestly, I was a little bit worried for the first 5 minutes. The U.S. was putting on a lot of effort, a lot of pressure. Then Team Canada took over, and we got one goal. Then we got a second goal, and for most of the game, that was the story. We were playing a very team game, and we had the U.S. pretty much outworked for most of the game. Some very big keys. It was a goalie battle the whole game. Some awesome stops were made by Subban, and some equally awesome stops were made by Gibson, the U.S. goalie. The difference is Subban stood on his head for most of the game. He did finally let one in the third, but I mean, it was by far his best game of the tournament. He totally won the game for Canada. But also Gibson really kept the U.S. into it, because it could have been a blowout in either direction. This is how good this game was. Another big factor is that Team Canada's top line scores, and the U.S.'s top line doesn't. As the commentators remarked a dozen times, if your fourth line wins the battle against the other team's fourth line, it's not that big a deal. But when your first line is shut out, it hurts a hockey team. Some other keys to the game. For the most part, Canada stayed out of the penalty box. Now, this unraveled in the last 10 minutes of the third period, as both teams spent pretty much the whole end of the period in the penalty box. And I was really, really worried that this awesome game was going to be decided by penalties. Fortunately, there was no big surprises, and the game played out naturally as it should, with Canada winning, of course. Aside from taking some bad penalties late in the game, which we still have to work on, and eventually somebody's going to catch us at it. If we do it against Russia, they might screw us with that. If we do that against, Sweden or Finland, that's going to be trouble. We got lucky tonight, people. But if I had to nitpick, obviously, I would like to see less penalties. Other things, Drouin. I love the guy, but he needs to pass more. In fact, in the second half of the game, Team Canada was not passing as much as they should, and players were a little bit puck-hogging. And I think we could have popped in another couple of goals if they had, made the smart pass rather than try to score themselves. But you know what? It's nitpicking, because overall, they had an excellent game, and we got a good, solid victory of fucking amazing, exciting hockey. And I was glad I woke up at 4 a.m. in the morning to watch it. Couple of other small little notes. And this is what I'm going to leave you with, because, I'm a photographer, and this is an issue for me. It's an issue that my models are very concerned with. They showed a shot of some of the Russian cheerleaders. The word anorexic doesn't even approach the word I'd use. These girls look like they were under 100 pounds. Guys. You can be hot without being a twig. In fact, look healthy. Healthy is hot. So I'm just going to leave you with that, and I'll see you for the next Team Canada game.